Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
I've noticed something that Leigh does. Have you noticed what you do?
No.
You say one word.
Stop, Chris.
No, there's one word that listeners won't be aware of that you say absolutely loads because I cut it out all the time. And that's the word basically.
Why are you highlighting this fact?
I just want everyone to know how hard I've worked now that we're at the series finale.
I don't think I say it that much.
Really?
And basically, I'll be basically. And basically ruined all my toys. What are you basically? Basically. The other day, basically.
It sounds like Basic Leigh. That's my nickname.
Basically.
That's my nickname for you now.
Not basic bitch, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Last time on the Work-Wife Balance podcast, it all kicked off.
Are you twiddling the knobs?
You're too quiet, but then you're going to get too excited.
The sooner you can get booked into the hospital for the doctors to break your nose, the better.
Your parents don't let people in through the front door. You go down the side.
Yeah.
Why don't they use the front door?
It's a bit formal, isn't it?
Right, get on with it.
Basically. Can you believe it? We are here. This is the season finale.
Episode 10 of 10. We made it all the way to this point.
We made it. You make it sound like...
It was touch and go for a moment. The arguments that we had behind the scenes. It was like the early days of Fleetwood Mac. No, it was all happy days, actually. It's been a really fun season.
And we're still married.
That's the most impressive thing about this series. Can you imagine if halfway through, after episode 7, there just was no more work-life balance? Everyone would know what happened.
The end.
So this episode is the big one because Gary Milner, a.k.a. The Podfather, is making a starring appearance. He's a bit too excited about it, to be honest.
I can't believe we've got G-Dog on the podcast today. I think this will probably be our most popular episode because people really just tune in for Gaza, don't they?
Annoyingly, I suspect you're probably right.
And we've also got Judge Jane answering some of your dilemmas.
We've sent her some of your dilemma-y questions and she's just decisively weighed in on them.
I like listening to my mum's logic. She often backtracks, actually.
The funniest thing about Judge Jane is that she'll really come down hard on one side and then 2 seconds later really come down hard on the other side.
I just don't know where she's going to go with it. That's the joy of listening to Judge Jane. But I think we'll start with G-Dog first because that's what everybody's waiting for, let's face it.
Give the people what they want, and they want the Podfather.
This is a bit weird because we've seen you all day. First of all, have you enjoyed it so far, Dad?
Enjoyed what?
Enjoyed the podcast.
It's been absolutely fantastic, yeah. I've really enjoyed doing it, and it's been a great laugh.
What did you think, though, when... Did we call him? We called him, didn't we? And we said, Dad, we want your voice, basically, on the podcast, and we want you to record a few lines for us. And then we told you the lines. What did you think?
You know what I'm like, don't you, Leigh? Yeah. I'm game for anything.
I said you'd be game.
You don't know much about podcasts before we started?
Very, very little.
Had you ever listened to one podcast?
No.
This is good because then this is your favourite one.
You know the only things that I listen to, don't you?
Northern Soul.
That's music.
Literally, Northern Soul.
Any music.
But I've got to say, it was quite easy. When you said, has your dad got any catchphrases?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, he has quite a lot. Literally listing them all. Best part of the day. You talk a load of shit, Leigh. Loads of things.
Tell me about, when did Best Part of the Day come around? You've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, it probably come about when we used to go away with kids to places like Scarborough, places on the East Coast, and it'd be a crap day all day. And then about 4 o'clock, the sun would come out. And obviously it's because when the sun comes down under clouds, that's the best part of the day.
One time, it was like, honestly, it was so magical. We saw this big lorry and it had Dad's catchphrase on it.
I know.
Best part of the day.
And we all fell about laughing.
That was only like 2 weeks ago. You finally caught on. You're a trend now.
Yeah, best part of the day.
And Mike wants to know, because we've had a few questions sent in to us, Mike is impressed at your Northern Soul love. He says, when did you start listening to Northern Soul? When did it become the kind of music that you really like? I know you like all sorts of music, but Northern Soul particularly, like, when did that come about?
I started listening to Northern Soul when I used to go to youth club, so that'll have been probably 14, 15-year-old. And I just wasn't old enough to go to places like Wigan Casino. I was about, well, as I say, I was 15 or 16 by the time I'd got well into it. And I had friends that were a bit older than me, and they actually went to Wigan, and they told me all about it. Started buying a couple of records from Northern Soul scene, and then I took them to youth club, and I was like a DJ at the youth club, and I used to put them on. And my friend that used to go to Wigan, he taught me how to dance like they used to do at Wigan. So we used to get up and dance at youth club.
Wow.
And I was a bit of a celebrity, really.
And still is.
Did you have a DJ name or not? We just DJ
No,
Gary Milner.
no.
Hang on a minute. You had a nickname though.
Twilly.
Twilly. His name is Twilly.
Why?
Twilly, Millie.
Millie.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
If anyone has a DJ name, we'll put this into series 2 for Gary Milner, because you're DJ Illuminati, aren't you? Leigh wants
That's
to
posh,
be.
Lee.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a bit of an odd one.
Well, I thought, go a bit upper class.
But we need a DJ Gaza nickname.
Gazza name.
But anyway.
He's got too many nicknames.
Mike also, because Mike happens to be one of the bosses of one of the BBC stations. He's retired from that now, but he really wanted to recommend that you recorded some of the sort of station jingles, like for BBC Radio Leeds, because he says that they should be employing you really to do their voice. How would you do it?
I'd probably say this is Radio Leeds from God's country.
Yeah! BBC Leeds employ him right now, although it's a bit expensive, I've got to say.
Very expensive, aren't you?
Well, I've got another...
When's the paycheck coming? That's what he's saying.
I've got another really funny question here, right? Just be careful what you say here, Dad, all right?
Wrong.
Do we have to think about this?
You might have to have a think about this.
So I have to edit this, is it?
Natalie says, can I just start by saying your dad is an absolute legend? How did he cope with drying rack gate for 35 years? This is pushing the thing backwards and forwards. Hang on, that's not the question though. She says, I've been married to my husband Chris for 4 years. Can I ask the Podfather for his advice for a long and happy marriage?
Right, Natalie. Well, can I tell you that it's still going on as we speak?
Well, this drying rack gate thing.
Nearly every other day, I pull it forward and she pushes it back. But I don't know why, but it's still going on.
Do you? I think you secretly enjoy it.
No, it bugs the shit out of me. To be honest. But I would say that the secret of a long marriage, well, we've been married 35 years, me and Jane, so it's quite a long time, to be honest. I think the secret is, really, they've got to be your soulmate. You've got to both try and, obviously, do the same things, be interested in the same things. We're never really apart, me and Jane. We just get on like an house on fire, really. And just being a partnership and taking the rough with the smooth, because obviously there is rough times, but you've just got to work your way through them. And tomorrow's another day, basically.
Because you and Mum are basically like the bestest of friends. You literally do everything together, don't you?
Yeah, we do. And I think that's the secret of a good marriage, to be honest.
Angela's asked a question which is related to family. It says, what do you think of Bailey? Bailey the bunny. Because
Careful now, Dad.
don't be nasty about Bailey, or they can't really hear you, but just,
Well, I think you know what I think about Bailey. I think he's an absolute legend. And you know as well that when you're away,
Yes.
he comes up north
Yeah.
and I put up his little fence in garden, like a portable fence, so I keep putting it up and then taking it down when you go. And I sit in my chair, and bless him, he comes up and he sits under my chair and he just lets me stroke him all the time.
He's a little mate.
He's my little mate.
Oh, he's lovely. You mentioned that Bailey's a legend, but honestly, Dad, we have had so many people say that you're the legend of the show. Never mind me and Chris. We're not important. It's all about Dad.
I've started blocking people on the internet because they're like, oh, Gary's a legend. Deleted. But these are some of them. Martin, who listens only on Spotify, he says, it feels like popping round to your mate's place before lockdown, this podcast. But the parents of Leigh are legendary. That's all he wanted to say. He's reached out and to say that. We also have Mikey D saying, Papa Milner is my favourite. Here's to the next series and the next episode. Podcasts rock. This is Finchy. Says, you rock, Gary. Dads know best. I mean, this is a disgrace, don't you think? We've got a legion of fans.
What about us? What about us?
Bill says, Gary's the real star.
Obviously, they know what they're saying, don't they?
Oh, there you go. Don't make his head bigger than what it is.
This bit is going to be cut right down, this bit. This is a question from me. Was Leigh annoying as a child?
You can't
Very-
have a question.
I can ask a question.
Very annoying.
No, you can't
I can
have
ask a question.
Very annoying. I've got 2 daughters. One's very annoying and one's very quiet.
And you wouldn't want them any other way,
Let's
would
just
you?
leave it at that, shall we?
Yesterday, Dad, you told us a story that had us all in stitches about the time that you set your hair on fire as a youngster. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Were you a naughty child or not?
I wasn't naughty, but I was quite
mischievous.
Me and my mate, we used to be called the terrible duo around village. We did cause some mayhem around village, I'll tell you. Well, basically, me and this other lad, we used to have a sort of like a den sort of thing, or a bit of a hideaway in this old public house that was shut. And it was quite dark in there, and somehow we'd got hold of a bottle of petrol.
As you do.
As you do, yeah, as mates. And we tried pouring it into another bottle, and I had a candle in my hand, and my mate said, bring candle a little bit closer to the bottle. You can imagine what happened. Well, all of a sudden, we had a fireball come out of the end of the bottle and it hit me on the side of the face. Burnt all my ear, burnt half my hair off.
Eyebrows, gone.
the lot, yeah.
I'm surprised you're okay, though, in all seriousness.
I was in a bit of a state, to be honest. And when we come out to this public house that, as I say, we used to go in, that were derelict.
That you shouldn't be in.
Oh, that we shouldn't be in. Oh, no, we'd broken in. And
You can imagine how much trouble these got into.
with no water to douse the pain away. So it had been raining. So my mate said, "Here, get some of that water out of that puddle there." So I ended up dousing the side of my face with some water out of a puddle.
With dirty rainwater.
Yeah.
Splashy, splashy.
What did Nan say?
My mother.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that day we were supposed to be going to a pantomime with the church. It used to be like we used to go to Sunday school, and they'd organised a pantomime for all kids for afternoon. So I thought that I wouldn't be going, but oh no. When I got home, she sent me down to local doctors, knocked on his door. He gave me some of this cream to put on, and it was bright yellow.
Wow.
Went back up home, told my mother what I had to do, and she made me put cream on and go to pantomime.
Did they think you were in it?
Typical Nan. I could imagine that. We phoned her yesterday, actually, and told her about that story.
And then she was going, oh, and I'll tell you another story.
And I'll tell you another
Let me
story.
tell you another story about the time. And Gary was going, hang up now. Hang up now.
Goodbye.
And half an hour later, we're still on phone.
So it's the end of our first series now. 10 episodes, which has been a lot of fun. Do you think we should do another one, Gary, or should we just call it a day now?
No, I think you should do another one, yeah. Well, we should do another one.
Oh, I see. Hang on.
What are you on about?
I quite enjoy it, actually.
Should we put him on the picture?
Should
He
we?
needs to be on the picture,
Should
though.
we really? Well, he's more popular than us, to be honest.
Well, he better be on the picture, yeah, you're right.
Right, we better start getting the photo shoots ready, Dad. We'll get your makeup ready, and that's going to take some time.
Do I need makeup?
I think you
Look,
do.
in all honesty, though, Dad, thank you so much for helping us out with this. It's been an absolute
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And we've really enjoyed you being on it.
Can I just say that if anybody wants to come to one at Northern Souls with us, those that can come.
Actually, you know what? It's really funny. I'm going to squeeze this right in because we have actually had a comment from Chris in Boston. He's a fellow Northern Soulie, and he wants to know when you'll be back at the Glidodrome.
October, I believe that. Isn't it, Chris?
Yes, we're going to give it a go.
We should do a special.
From
a
the
special
Glidodrome.
from the Glidodrome.
But you won't hear anything, so we'll be going, way!
Lots.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit Shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Basically,
Can you believe it? That was the Podfather, not just saying one or two words every now and then, but the real deal.
Like, if you put a microphone in front of my dad, he kind of forgets it's there.
No, he doesn't. He's exactly like you.
No,
as
he
soon as
doesn't.
as soon as the mic goes live, or as soon as the camera goes on, he looks at it and goes, "Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Milner." He looks for it.
Maybe more with my mum then.
Yeah, your mum's like a natural talent.
She has no filter.
Well, let's hear from Judge Jane, shall we?
Go on
Sorry,
then.
Mum.
Go on.
Mama Milner for you. Mother-in-law Milner for me. We decided to give her some of the dilemmas that you've been sending us over the last few weeks.
Jane.
Do you remember Kit Kat Gate, Mum?
Oh, do I remember it? Yes. It's embedded in my brain.
Right. So basically, right, sometimes I'll say to Chris, what are we having for dinner? And then he'll say, now, when you say dinner, what do you mean? And I'll be like, well, you know, like 2, 3 o'clock. And he's like, so you mean lunch? But then he'll say, if you call dinner lunch, what do you call actual dinner? And I say it's called tea time. So basically, what do you call the times of the day when you eat?
It depends, really, where you come from.
I don't want it depends. I want a definitive answer. Start the first meal of the day. What's the first meal of the day called?
It's breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
No problems there. Now, after that, from about 1 o'clock, what is that meal called?
It's dinner.
Come on.
It's dinner.
Right, hang on. Okay.
Your
No.
tea is your tea. And then the supper.
Oh, do we have supper? We don't have supper. We have cereal time.
Surely you've got to have a bit of supper.
Hang on. What time is tea time?
In our house, I would say tea time's round about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
Right, and then what time's supper?
Round about 8:30 as you're sitting down for your drama.
So how many meals a day do you have?
Well, including snacks.
So in Yorkshire, we don't really have lunch. We certainly don't have brunch.
No, we certainly don't have brunch.
If I said let's have lunch, what time would that be? Because you haven't said the word lunch at all yet.
Because it's dinner time.
Yeah.
Oh. So lunch doesn't mean anything.
Well, lunch does in certain dialects, I suppose.
Dialects?
If we still go away and we have lunch out, I would still want lunch around about 12:30, 1 o'clock.
You've just called it lunch then.
Yeah, lunch.
This is the typical Judge Jane dilemma.
You're changing it. You're changing your mind again. Do you want one more dilemma?
Of course.
I could keep
Stop
saying
saying basic. Lee does this thing where she says basically. Fucking annoying.
What am I supposed to say?
Fundamentally.
We've had a cheeky message on Twitter from Irene. I don't think it's your friend, Irene. A different Irene.
Can you imagine?
Sorry.
All right, Irene.
Who's been in touch to say, can Judge Jane please settle this argument between me and my husband? I'm quite a cold person and I like the heating on even during the day.
So you sure this isn't a message from you?
Sounds like me. But my husband says it's spring and doesn't need to be on and is apparently costing a fortune. Who's right and how do we compromise?
Right, Irene. Oh, what I'm going to say to you is, obviously, it is spring. So he is perfectly right there. But everybody's temperature's different. But he can't really strip off and you can put clothes on.
Yes.
So
yes.
As much as I am a woman's woman, I am sorry, I'm going to have to say go put a jumper on.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you want me to be decisive, I have to be decisive.
This is good.
So a compromise is you put a jumper on and socks, but when it comes to winter, then obviously the eating goes on. And I think it is a little bit of a question for you, Irene, that you can think about with your husband. When does winter start?
That is the question.
When does it start to get cold?
That is the
Come
question.
back to me on that.
Have you got like a deal with a channel on the TV? Have you like got your own chat show yet?
No, it's common sense.
She's like the next Jerry Springer, isn't she?
You're obviously of an age where you're not in the menopause as well. Because if you're in the menopause, it's a Sahara desert all year.
thanks, Mum, for being our Judge Jane. You didn't really volunteer for it, did you, to be honest?
Not really, no.
You've enjoyed it, though, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
All right, OK. We might have you on the second series, then.
Oh, that's kind of you. Don't push yourself.
I was going to say, are you sure?
I'll let you know, my fee.
Yeah.
This is the Work-Wife Balance Podcast with my daughter Leigh and our Chris.
Wow, Judge Jane there, decisive as ever.
I genuinely think she'll have her own chat show after this.
What, on the telly?
Yeah, I think someone will pick her up and be like, she'd make a great chat show host. You can imagine her like a northern version of Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, I can
going,
actually.
Come on, love, sit down. Tell me about your dilemma.
We've got a few emails as well, haven't we?
We sure have.
For the season finale.
Dave's been in touch to say, loving the podcast, guys. It's become part of my weekly routine. Tuesday mornings in the gym, listening to you and the Podfather.
That's interesting. We had someone called Ben actually just tell me at work that he was listening to the podcast when he was in the gym as well. So it's obviously like a gym-worthy pod.
You listen to podcasts while running.
Yeah.
Which I just couldn't do. I need like insane. Yeah, I need like insane dance music.
Yeah, like techno though. Like heavy kind of metallic vibes.
Yeah.
Whereas I need to be laughing while I'm running. After 2.5k, I'm like, oh, this is so funny.
You look like a crazy person.
I'm happy with it, to be honest with you.
And finally, Zara says, good luck with the move, guys. Hopefully, by the time you record season 2, you'll be in your new house.
Can you imagine if the acoustics of the new house are rubbish? You'll really notice it for the next season. It's like, it'll be like, hello, welcome to the Work-Wife Balance podcast. And Bailey will be...
Well, Bailey's been kicked outside. He doesn't know it yet.
Bailey the bunny is going to move outside from indoors.
He's moving from his indoor palace to his outdoor palace.
He's going to live in the shed, but
Yeah,
like
but
with the multi-story,
Apparently, Dad's got these plans, like to insulate it. He's building an inner wall,
a thermostated
a
heater.
ramp, a little flap. He's got a heater in there. I'll go live in there.
We record the podcast in Bailey's shed one time. We actually should do that. It'd be really funny.
Shouldn't we?
Well, thanks so much for listening to this season. It's been so much fun. Thanks to Podcast Radio for kind of giving us the push to do it as well, because we're really, really grateful. We're thinking of adding the Podfather into the artwork for next season.
Thinking he might make an appearance.
Depends how nice he is to us.
Depends how much it costs, to be honest.
Don't forget, you can subscribe on Twitter, Insta, and send us an email. workwifebalancepod@gmail.com.
Please send us your messages for the next season. We'd love hearing your comments about anything we've talked about. And also, if you could subscribe on Spotify if you're listening there, or on iTunes, it really, really helps us to do a review.
And we're not going anywhere. We're still here, still living together, still married.
We're just moving house, so that's why we need a break until the next season. But we'll tell you when we're launching it on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere, so just check it out there.
Have you subscribed yet?
You know how when you have a checklist and you can tick things off, do you write like actual lists?
I used to, but then because I never used to complete them all, I just thought I'm not doing it anymore.
To me, this is like a tick off the list now. Season 1 has been ticked off. But my problem is that everything on my list has the same value. So like take out the bin has the same value as like complete.
Get married.
Yeah, tick. Take the bin out, tick. They all
I'm glad our marriage is worth the same as taking the bin out. Thanks so much.
Season 1, tick.
We hope you've enjoyed the series, and we'll be back for season 2. Okay, bye.
Are you tired of seeing your teen or young adult struggle on a path that clearly isn't the right fit? Is your teenager confused about which direction to take after high school? The future of work is changing rapidly, and our kids need to know all of the options available after high school so they're empowered to make the choice that is best for them. In each episode, we explore the latest trends that are shaping the opportunities of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Betsy Jewell, and this is the High School Hamster Wheel Podcast.